Okay, I'm going to talk about the resilience of nature, and in particular, the resilience of humanity, and how we can improve our individual resilience and our collective resilience as a species. But to get there, first I'm going to talk about the dichotomy between subconscious and conscious instincts. So I will tie back in the resilience concept later, but first let's talk about subconscious and conscious instincts. Subconscious instincts can be thought of as our reptilian instincts. They're kind of, some people might call them our reptilian instincts. They're kind of the fear-driven fight-or-flight mode. The fear-driven fight-or-flight responses and instincts that we have when we are presented with an immediate threat, an unforeseen immediate threat. So, for example, if you're walking in a dark alley at night and some man punches you in the face, you're going to react, right? And you're probably going to react with a fight or flight instinct. So you're either going to punch the man back, and in effect you think you can take that man in a fight, or you're going to run, right? Those are the two solutions that you have to the immediate problem in order to protect your own well-being. Now, on the other hand, when you go home that night, you're going to think about it, right? You're going to think about the event. This is a conscious instinct, to think about the event and to try to come up with better solutions that don't rely on the reactive solution, that is the fight or flight mode. You're going to consciously think about the better solutions, right? This is a conscious instinct, right? You're going to try to come up with proactive solutions to the problem. So, for example, maybe you decide to carry a gun, or maybe you decide to take self-defense classes. This is kind of actually a mix between a proactive and a reactive solution. So you are proactively improving your capacity to react the next time some man in a dark alley attacks you, right? You're going to improve your capacity to fight that man with the gun or with the self-defense classes, right? Or maybe instead of that, maybe you decide to hit the treadmill. You decide to improve your capacity to run, to improve your flight mode, in effect. This is still, again, it's still kind of a proactive, you're still kind of proactively improving your reactive response, because you're basically preparing to run from the danger, right? But we can do better. We can come up with even better solutions than relying on reactive solutions. For example, maybe you just decide to never go into the dark alley again. If that's a possibility, then that's preferable to, well, maybe you could still take the self-defense classes or hit the treadmill, but you still never go into the dark alley again if you can avoid it, right? This avoids the chance that maybe the man in the dark alley has a gun this time around, right? It avoids the chance of harm at all. So still, though, this solution of avoiding the dark alley entirely is still kind of a flight response. You're still kind of running away from the original cause of the problem. So what is the original cause? Well, again, it's maybe that man's trying to rob you, right? Why is the man trying to rob you? Well, the man is probably broke. He probably doesn't have a place to live, perhaps. Maybe he's hungry. Maybe he's sick, mentally ill. So if we wanted to come up with a truly proactive response to this problem, a truly conscious, instinctual response, what we would do is we would try to improve the material conditions of humanity. So what that would do, by extension, is improve the material conditions of the man in the dark alley. It would reduce the likelihood, or it would reduce the motivation that man had for committing the crime against you, for punching you in the face, right? These are the solutions we want, okay? We want proactive solutions to problems in order to avoid having to rely on reactive solutions. Reactive solutions, over the long term, become very, very messy. They become very messy because they pile up, right? Let's say that one of our proactive solutions to this problem was to arrest the man who punched you in the face. That still never addresses the reason that man became violent in the first place. And by extension, there are going to be other men who have motivations to punch people in the face in dark alleys. So a proactive response, again, would address the material conditions of humanity as a whole in order to ensure long-term solutions, in order to ensure that more people don't become violent in order to rob people of their wallet or whatever in a dark alley. So again, these are the solutions we want. We want conscious solutions to problems. So how does this tie into resilience? Well, this is, I'll bring back that concept a little bit. Let's first talk about the resilience of nature as a whole. Nature as a whole is very resilient, right? If you were to chop down all the trees on an acre plot of land and put down asphalt on an entire acre, give it 100 years and there's going to be trees growing through that asphalt. Okay, this is resilience. Nature said no to the asphalt and in effect defeated the asphalt. It evolved despite the conditions that it was under, right? You are no different. You can evolve to solve the problems. We can evolve to solve the problems that we face. However, if we bias the fight or flight instincts, the fight or flight solutions to problems, and we forget about the proactive solutions, we're going to run into long-term problems. That's the dichotomy between subconscious and conscious solutions, is the dichotomy between reliance on short-term reactions for self-preservation and long-term solutions that create long-term self-preservation. Again, those reactive, short-term, fear-driven fight or flight responses, they are very messy in the long term. So in order to, as a species or an individual, to improve our capacity to be resilient, to display or express our capacity for resilience that we have, just like all the nature around us, we have to use our consciousness. This is the takeaway from this video. And I'm trying to send an optimistic message here. You have consciousness. If you exercise that consciousness, if you exercise those proactive solutions, we solve our problems. On the other hand, if we as a species rely on fear-driven fight or flight instincts, for example, Hamas attacks Israel and Israel attacks Hamas, and they trade blows back and forth for thousands of years, the end result is that we never escape that vicious cycle. We never address the original thing that caused those people to attack each other in the first place. What was that original cause? I think that original cause was scarcity. The original wound that plagues all of humanity is scarcity. When we can't get our needs met, we seek to get our needs met in any way we can. And what that means is perhaps war. It means fighting, punching the person in the alley. It means running from the person in the alley. But if we allow these fight or flight instincts to control us, we never come up with proactive solutions that reverse engineer the vicious cycle that led to those problems. So again, the capacity for resilience is in all of us. That's the cool thing here. The capacity for resilience is in your ability to think consciously. It's in your ability to come up with proactive solutions. So if you exercise that capacity and you kind of bias it above the fear-driven fight or flight instincts, you increase your capacity for resilience as an individual and as humanity by extension. So I want to send a message of optimism in this video, because nature's giving you all the tools you need. In the same way, a lot of people like to think that we are separate from nature because we are conscious. We like to assume that we are the only beings with consciousness, perhaps. Maybe that's true, but consciousness doesn't separate us from nature. What it does, all consciousness is it's a mechanism by which we can use to solve the problems, the unique problems that we face as a species. That is why we've evolved a consciousness. We evolved a consciousness to solve the problems that we uniquely face. To compare consciousness with something else that another species has evolved to have, a mechanism of healing that another species has evolved to have, look at a crocodile. When a crocodile loses a limb, that limb grows back. This is a unique capacity for healing that reptiles have that humans don't. And if that reptile decided to stop using that capacity to heal itself, it would suffer as a result. And that is what's wrong with humanity right now. We are voluntarily sacrificing our capacity to consciously come up with proactive solutions, and we are kind of reverting back to those reptilian instincts a little bit too much, and that is causing us to hinder our capacity to heal ourselves. This is why the chronic disease epidemic is taking off. It's because we're eating all of this processed food unconsciously, and or subconsciously perhaps, because processed food tastes good, right? And our reptilian instincts tell us, oh, calories, this sugar tastes great, these fat, sugar, salt combinations taste great, so I'm going to eat them and eat them and eat them because my body needs energy. Meanwhile, we forego our micronutrient needs, and then we get sick. Then we display this chronic disease epidemic that is plaguing the U.S. right now. So we have to, so in this diet analogy, if you want to exercise that proactive solution, that conscious solution, you need to eat healthier. You need to force yourself to eat the whole foods, the unprocessed foods that actually grow in healthy soil, rather than on monocrop farms that have no micronutrients in the soil, and therefore the food doesn't have any micronutrients. We need to eat organic food. We need to perhaps grow food in our own backyards. We need to discourage the agricultural methods we're using right now and encourage regenerative farming. This is just one example, okay? There's a lot of chronic disease, and there's probably a lot of causes of that chronic disease, but I do believe a lot of it stems from the food we're eating. We are what we eat, as they say. But it can go deeper than that, too. The bottom line here is that you have to be conscious. That's and again, you have the capacity to do so. Nature gave you that capacity. You evolved with it in the same way that reptile evolved to grow its limbs back. That reptile isn't going to forgo its ability to grow its limbs back, and you should not forgo your ability to be conscious. You need to, with every action that you take, it has to have a conscious intent. You have to reverse engineer the vicious cycles of the chains of events that leads up to the man in the alley punching you in the face. Again, if we keep putting the man in the alley in jail, maybe that works to solve that particular man, to solve the problem that particular man presents us, but it doesn't solve the conditions that created that man. And those conditions are just going to create more violent men that punch people and rob people in dark alleys. Or maybe, again, they come to your house and rob you. It's like we have to exercise all of the things that nature gave us. Otherwise, we lose the capacity for resilience. When an individual improves their capacity for resilience within themselves, that spreads. It spreads like a disease. It spreads in the same way that the fear-driven fight-or-flight spreads. We can change the vicious cycles and translate them into benevolent cycles if we try. But it requires individuals to do the hard things. It requires the individuals to make conscious decisions and to challenge the culture and the traditions that have recently led us astray. The cultures and traditions that have recently led us to separate ourselves from nature and to reject the symbiosis that we have with the nature around us. You can't reject that symbiosis because you are dependent on the nature around you. You're dependent on the soil that grows the food, that grows your food. If you kill the life in that soil, you kill the life within yourself. Okay, so again, just give that a little thought. I say that at the end of most of my videos. Give that a little thought. What that implies is that we have to be a little more conscious. We have to give conscious thought to all of the decisions, all of our actions that we make in everyday life. Thanks for watching.